Welcome to the July 28th meeting of the Lee County LPA. Calling the meeting to order, I would ask Ms. Amanda, do we have an affidavit sufficient?
Good morning, LPA members. Amanda Swindle at the County Attorney's Office. I have reviewed the affidavit and it is legally sufficient.
Thank you. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This is a public forum. If anyone is in the room today that would like to speak on items not on the agenda, this would be your opportunity to voice that. Seeing none, we will proceed. We have minutes from March 24th, the meeting so many months ago.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt. We have a second.
I second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. We have two agenda items today, items 4A and 4B. We'll begin with 4A, CPA 2024-00014 Surf Style CPA. Amend map 1A future land use to redesignate a .060 acre portion of the subject properties to the urban community future land use category from the suburban future land use category, and amend map 1C mixed use overlay to add the entire plus or minus 1.76 acre property to the mixed use overlay. The subject property is at the southeast corner of Pine Ridge Road and San Carlos Boulevard intersection. Do we have an applicant?
Good morning, LPA members. For the record, my name is Lindsay Rodriguez. I'm a certified planner at Morris DePue Associates here in Fort Myers. I'm here this morning on behalf of the applicant for Comp Plan Amendment CPA 2024-14. The property owner is Jalad Ovaknin. I do also have the project engineer and the ecologist here with me today as part of my team to answer any questions if there are any. The request before you this morning is to amend the future land use map for 0.6 acres of the 1.76 acre property from suburban to urban community and to include the entire property into the mixed use overlay. I would like to request that the application materials and staff report both be part of the record, including the Lee plan analysis provided in both. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of San Carlos Boulevard and Pine Ridge Road, and the site is partially developed with an existing surf-style retail store. Here's the current future land use map showing the 0.6 acres of the property within the suburban future land use category, and the remainder of the property is within the urban community future land use category. And here we have the proposed future land use map showing the 0.6 acres changing from suburban to urban community. This here is the proposed mixed use overlay map that shows the entire 1.76 acre property as mixed use overlay. As it exists today, this is the only property at this major intersection that is not within the mixed use overlay. So I would submit to you that this request and this amendment represents a logical and appropriate extension of the mixed use overlay. You'll note here that the mixed use overlay exists on several properties north and west of the property all along this corridor, even as far north as Summerlin Road. This amendment represents a logical extension of the overlay in this area of the county, especially along San Carlos Boulevard, which functions as a primary gateway to the beaches. And you'll see here, and I'm going to touch on it a little more in a few slides, but this area is the full suite of features that make an area truly mixed use. It has the mix of commercial, the existing residential, the public transit, the recreation, employment opportunities, and the existing and available public infrastructure. The property is currently zoned commercial tourist and will retain that existing zoning. The surrounding land uses include Pine Ridge Road and a gas station and convenience store to the north, as well as an approved mixed-use project bringing 150 units and commercial outparcels online. To the east is a swap shop, retail antique store. To the south is a 50-foot FPL right-of-way and and to the west is San Carlos Boulevard and the Smuggler's Cove Adventure Golf Course. In terms of Lee Plan consistency, I'm not going to belabor these points as you have read them in our application materials and in the staff report, which concluded that our request is consistent with the Lee Plan. Our request is consistent with the following goals, objectives, and policies of the Lee Plan. Policy 1.1.4, urban community. I just want to note here that we are requesting that 0.6 acre change from suburban to urban community, and that the urban community description encourages future development to be in the form of mixed use. So we are consistent with this policy. We are consistent with objective 2.2, development timing, 2.5, historic resources, goal 4, general development standards, and standard 4.1.1 and 4.1.2, water and sewer. We are consistent with standard 4.1.3, reuse. We are consistent with Lee Plan policy 5.1.5, surrounding land uses. We are consistent with goal 6 and policy 6.1.7 regarding commercial land uses. And the request is consistent with goal 11, mixed use, and objective 11.1, mixed use development. Adding the property to the mixed-use overlay will allow and encourage a mixed-use form of development consistent with objective 11.1 and 11.2 mixed-use overlay. Expansion of the mixed-use overlay does depend on a number of criteria specifically addressed in policy 11.2.1. The subject property is located within the extended pedestrian shed of established transit routes. There are 4 bus stops within a quarter mile of the site, and Lee Tran has confirmed services available to the subject property. The property provides distinct pedestrian and vehicular connections. The property is adjacent to or within walking distance to multiple uses, including residential, hotels, restaurants, entertainment, and retail establishments. There is an existing sidewalk network adjacent to the subject property that connects it to all of the businesses along San Carlos Boulevard. With the proposed future land use amendment, the entire subject property will be within the urban community future land use category. The subject property meets the criteria to have adequate public utilities and infrastructure available on site. The subject property has existing connections to public utilities, and letters of availability have been provided for Lee County Solid Waste, Lee County Sheriff's Office, Lee County EMS, and Lee Tran, who have all verified their ability to serve this site. And lastly, the proposed mixed-use overlay extension does not intrude to areas of predominantly single-family development. There is the manufactured home community to the south of the property. However, the proposed mixed-use overlay extension to the property itself will not include any of these properties that are currently single-family homes today. And as I previously mentioned, extending the mixed-use overlay to the subject property is appropriate at this location given the surrounding public transit opportunities with 4 bus stops, the shared use path along the property's San Carlos Boulevard frontage, the existing sidewalk network on Pine Ridge Road, multiple areas of existing residential and future residential who can easily access commercial goods, services, recreation opportunities by foot, bike, and transit. Adding this property to the mixed-use overlay will contribute to the existing mixed-use node at this intersection and will enhance the pedestrian-friendly, walkable environment that the mixed-use overlay encourages and intends. The request is consistent with mixed-use policy 11.2.4, 11.2.5, as well as transportation element policies 39.1.3 and 39.2.1. There are adequate public services available to the site, and letters of availability have been provided by all of the various agencies. Staff has done an excellent job in preparing the staff report that outlines and supports our request. Staff is recommending approval of this request. The request is consistent with the Lee Plan, and it does represent a logical extension of the mixed-use overlay. Thank you.
Members of the LPA, any questions for the applicant? I have one question. Are these images what is foreseen there?
No, these are surf-style images that I pulled online of other various locations that they have.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. My name is Kate Burgess, and I am a principal planner with the Lee County Planning Section. So this first case today is a small-scale map amendment, which we are calling Surf Style. This is a privately initiated amendment. Some of my presentation will mirror what Lindsay's presentation did, so I'll try to keep it brief. The applicant is requesting to amend map 1A, that's the future land use map, and map 1C, which is the mixed-use overlay map. These amendments would unify the subject property under one future land use category and allow for development to occur in accordance with the mixed-use overlay standards. So the maps on the screen show the current and proposed future land use and mixed-use overlay configurations. Note that in the map on the left, the mixed-use overlay currently terminates on the north side of Pine Ridge Road, and a little more than half of the property is currently designated as urban community. The map on the right depicts the proposed amendments with the unified future land use category and the mixed-use overlay extended to this property. So the proposed amendments are consistent with the Lee Plan generally. The applicant did a really great job of going through all of those policies, so I'm not going to go over all of them, but I will hit a few that are particularly important. So policy 1.1.5 provides the requirements, or provides the description of the urban community future land use category. As stated in this policy, these areas are characterized by a mixture of relatively intense commercial and residential uses. The subject property is currently surrounded by a mixture of commercial, industrial, and residential uses, and it is consistent with this policy. Policy 11.2.1 provides the requirements of the mixed-use overlay. This subject property meets these criteria, all of these criteria. It is close to transit. It has pedestrian and automobile connections to adjacent uses. It will have a unified future land use of urban community. There are public utilities and other infrastructure available on the site, and the mixed-use overlay will not intrude into predominantly single-family neighborhoods. The subject property is within the coastal high hazard zone, or coastal high hazard area. Staff analyzed policy 101.1.4, which requires comprehensive plan amendments which increase density in the coastal high hazard area to meet some criteria. Staff has found that the proposed change is not inconsistent with these policies, as no additional density is allowed by right. The suburban future land use category and the urban community future land use category have the same maximum density allowance. So the proposed density, any proposed density would also be required to meet flood and storm mitigation. The applicant is not proposing any residential density on the site, but because the future land use could theoretically increase density, staff felt like this was an important policy to hit. So the proposed amendments are generally consistent with the other elements of the Lee Plan. The applicant has provided letters of availability with no objections from all of the applicable utilities and county services. So based on the information presented today and what was included in the staff report, staff recommends adoption of the proposed amendments as shown in attachment 1. And that concludes my formal presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you. Questions from the LPA? One question for you, and it's a general question. I noticed that the property due east of the applicant's subject is also zone C1A, but it's still in the suburban. Has there been any discussion with the county initiating or contacting that owner to similarly extend urban to that?
We haven't discussed contacting the property owner or changing the future land use. The commission, the way that the policy is worded, commission has the discretion to be able to extend the mixed use overlay up to a quarter mile, I think it is, from the subject property. So it is something that they could choose to do as this moves forward, or if they just chose to do that separately.
And does that also facilitate the change from suburban to urban?
I don't know that if they chose to change it, that we would necessarily have to change the future land use category, because it does state that commission has discretion to do so. But it is something, I think that this corridor is not suburban anymore, for lack of better description.
I go by there quite a bit. All right, thank you, Kate. All right, LPA, what do we think?
I think it's an appropriate location. The mixed-use overlay is, I'll always support that, especially if it's an extension of a big area of mixed-use overlay. And to be in a mixed-use overlay, it requires this future land use amendment. So I'm in support of it. I think it's a great amendment.
I'm in support. I agree with everything Jennifer just said, and staff's findings I also agree with. I find it consistent with the LEAP plan.
Thank you.
Very straightforward, consistent. I don't see any problems with this at all.
Thank you. You guys?
I see a lot of development pressure along San Carlos from the beach down, and I have not seen how consistency might be established with regard to new development or redevelopment proposals. Perhaps staff has some more comments, or I'm sure you're seeing other applications along San Carlos from the beach over the bridge and down. I think this corner is going to be one anchor entry to that San Carlos corridor.
I don't want to speak for the other sections within community development as far as zoning applications or development orders come in. They may be seeing the pressure down there, but this is one of the first ones that we've had down in this area in quite a while. So, I don't know if that means that our plan is generally consistent with what the market is, wanting down there, or what that means. But we haven't seen a lot of pressure to change the plan in this area recently.
No? Huh? Interesting.
What's being asked makes sense.
Okay, I concur. I think it's a great piece of planning. I think it's the right thing to do. I find it consistent. I need a motion. I want to make a motion to adopt, which is the request.
I'll make a motion. Motion to adopt CPA 2024-00014 surf style CPA, approve as requested.
Thank you. Got a second?
A second.
Thank you, Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, you guys. Thank you, staff. Moving to agenda item 4B as in Bravo, CPA 2025-00002, Disaster Recovery Plan Update. Amend the LEAD Plan Objective 72.1 and Policy 72.1.1, 72.1.7, and 72.1.8 in response to the repeal and replacement of Ordinance 07-20 with Administrative Code 2-23 regarding the Disaster Advisory Council and adoption of the Lee County Disaster Recovery Plan. This is a staff-initiated. Kate, thank you.
Again, Kate Burgess for the record. So the second case today is CPA 2025-00002. We've been calling this the Disaster Recovery Plan Update. This is a county-initiated amendment to the LEAD Plan, which will follow the expedited review process through the state. So this amendment is really necessitated by some changes that Commission made to some disaster recovery documents that they adopted. We needed to update some references in the LEAD Plan. So these text amendments changed the text in Objective 72.1, Policy 72.1.1, 72.1.7, and 72.1.8 in response to changing county policy. Staff received direction from the board to update cross-references in the LEAD Plan in May of 2024. The proposed amendments do not make any substantive changes to the LEAD Plan or the county's development processes or requirements in response to disasters. So I'm going to walk you through the proposed changes. This first one is just a grammatical correction. to Objective 72.1. The second adds in a reference to the county's disaster recovery plan, which is the document that necessitated this change, and generally references other adopted emergency management plans. Just in case these plans change over time, we created a little bit broader statement so that it didn't require a Lee Plan amendment every single time. The last sentence was removed as it references the maintenance of the comprehensive emergency management plan, which is already included in policy 72.1.8. The changes to policy 72.1.7 clarifies some language and broadens what can influence county actions regarding emergencies. And the final change to policy 72.1.8 updated the references to the appropriate county disaster management documents. So the proposed changes are consistent with the Lee County emergency management element generally, Florida statutes, and Lee County's administrative code, which recognizes the Lee County Disaster Recovery Plan. Based on the presentation and the analysis in the staff report, staff recommends that the board transmit the proposed amendments as shown in attachment 1. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Any questions for Ms. Burgess?
I have a quick question.
Dustin?
So now that the old advisory council is gone, what's the resource, I guess, for public and other community groups to have a say in the disaster recovery plan?
I believe the disaster recovery plan still has some type of organization, like board or something. We were not part of putting that together, so I don't know all of the ins and outs, but the document is available online if you wanted to review it. Sorry, I wish I had a better answer for you.
Okay.
Somebody from staff like to address that, please?
Ben Ames was not able to make it here today, but I will just let you know that we can follow up with you. I know there is still a community input process for this. We'll have to review the plan and identify that, and I'd be happy to forward that on to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Any other questions? Thank you, Kate. All right, having heard the application, anyone have any discussion, any thoughts?
I think that this recovery plan is really impressive.
Yeah?
You know, looking through the different departments, it is really well thought out, and it's very impressive. I wish the news would sometimes cover how the county is preparing and not sensationalize and always make it, you know, hair on fire. And I think this would really comfort a lot of people, knowing that so much thought has gone into this program.
Thank you.
But I don't see the news here today, so.
Thank you. All right, if there's no further discussion, is there a motion to, on this action, to transmit or not?
I'll make a motion to approve CPA 2025-0002 Disaster Recovery Plan Update as proposed.
Thank you, Dawn. Have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dustin. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you, everyone. As far as the agenda, let me go back. That's our agenda items. I will ask staff, is there, I mean, we had 90 days off. I appreciate that. Pays the same, so that's nice. Is there anything on the horizon? I know there's a lot of travel usually in August and September.
We have 3 amendments. We're kind of working our way through the process right now that are getting close to the end. We may have 1 or 2 of them ready for August, or they could end up, there'll be 3 between August and September. We try not to bring you in here for just 1 amendment, so if we have 1 ready, I'm not sure if we'll have an August one or not, but we do have some working to getting close to the end.
We appreciate you respecting the time and making the agenda worthwhile, so we'll keep an eye on that, and hopefully travel won't conflict, and we thank staff as always for the great work that you guys do.
Amen.
Move to adjourn? So moved.